This is the Asus ROG Ally in 2025. So the Asus ROG Ally is not anymore the newest and greatest in the handheld PC market, but I feel like it's still holding up so well in 2025. And while it's a little bit dusty, in my case, it's more of a user case scenario and not the device itself. I've had this device for over a year at this point, and from my usage, it has been ups and downs with this device. I still love the concept, I still love the way it performs, and the way it has the potential to work is amazing. In 2025, we're starting to have even more competition for it. So how is the OG Asus ROG Ally stacking up to the competition? If you're looking for a more in-depth review of what this device has, how it performs, what it has in terms of its specs, check out the video in the top right corner of the screen. And in today's video, I'm going to be focusing more on a long-term review of this device and the comparison of this to the competition in 2025. So in my case, the Asus ROG Ally lately has been collecting dust, unfortunately. But that has not been because of the console, the PC itself. It was more because of my user experience. I've been mainly playing games that I would rather play on a big screen TV on my PS5. And because of that, this device was just not the one I would use. You see, I got this as a kind of like a Nintendo Switch Pro. I wanted to have something that I can play my PS5 games on the go, or just not having to play sitting at the desk. And the thing is, this device actually can hold up really nicely in terms of all the modern games. I've been playing games like the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, or the Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and even Call of Duty Warzone on it, and it was pretty nice. You can actually handle those games pretty nice for a device of this size. But there are some downsides to it. A lot of people are gonna say the battery isn't that good, and I'm gonna have to say that is somewhat true, especially for those more demanding games. For example, if I played something like Batman Arkham Asylum or Assassin's Creed Rogue, which are a little bit older games, those games were easily playable on the lower settings and lower power settings. Thanks to this, I could really play for much longer. But if you're playing something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which actually still holds up really nicely, even in 18-watt mode, which really still holds up nicely because it's still a nice frame rate and a really good looking picture, but it's not the best frame rate and it's not the best looking picture, somewhere in between, but also holding the battery much longer, then that works nicely. And for something like Call of Duty, this was rather a really intensive situation where you want to have as much frame rate as you can, so in that regard it's not going to hold charge as good. One thing that I did change on this device is I did implement a 2TB SSD. It's really simple, it wasn't really pain, but I did need that 2TB SSD for this device. I felt like the 500 GB of storage just wasn't enough, especially if you put something like Warzone on this and then just one or two bigger games, and it's pretty much full. So with 2TB, I can really have plenty of games to choose from, especially if you have something like Game Pass and other games on your Steam library or Ubisoft store. Then it's nice to upgrade the storage and have so many more different games on it. For me personally, I wanted to use this more of like a backlog machine, and it really is good for that. If you have games that are a little bit older, this is gonna run like a charm. I did find myself not loving some games on it. For example, competitive games like Warzone, where the SBMM is putting you in really hard matches, and something that I would rather play on a huge screen. Warzone on this can run really nicely, but if you play on the bigger map, it's gonna mean that it's gonna be hard to see the enemies on the screen because the enemies are gonna be so small. So I had better success playing multiplayer, for example like the Black Ops 6 multiplayer or Modern Warfare 3, where the maps are smaller, so the enemies are closer and everything is a little bit more condensed. But then I would run into another problem, which is the analog sticks. I feel like the Asus ROG Ally X, the second iteration of the Ally, has better sticks, and they're not as wobbly, they're not as, they kind of have the dead zone on them, so the aiming isn't as accurate as I wish to be, and they're a little bit easy to move. There isn't too much tension, which makes it a little bit different than I'm used to, but I can still get used to it and still have really fun games. I did play a lot of smaller map on the Warzone, and it really felt nice, and I had some really fun time playing with it. But like I said, it's not the optimal way to play. So those games for me, the competitive games, are not the best way to play, and especially if I have the PS5 and big screen with me, I would rather play it there. Then we have the single player games. I would say the high budget games like the Asus ROG Valhalla or Mirage run really nicely on this, but you're gonna have to play around with settings to have more frame rate or more quality, but it can be really good experience. So for me, this device is great for single player games, and especially if you like indie games, this is gonna be a great device. If you like indie games, it's gonna run so amazingly well. You see, the thing is, not only is it super powerful for a device of this size, the screen itself is really good, and it can go up to 144 Hz, meaning you can really take advantage of that if you have games that you can really push in terms of quality and the refresh rate. But also, while this is an LCD panel, compared to something like the Nintendo Switch OLED, the contrast, the colors aren't that bad. They're really similar, and I'm pretty sure that many people, not knowing, could be fooled that this is not an LCD screen. That is how good it is, and it really is a great screen to use. One more thing that I really love about this device is the stereo speakers on the front. They're really nicely positioned, so when you're playing the games, there's a nice stereo, and they're really good quality. Really love the way they sound. In my opinion, they really make the experience so much better, just like more immersive. So a really big thumbs up for those speakers. One thing that I don't like about it is, like I said, the battery. It kind of drains faster on the more demanding titles. This is where the Ally X, the improved version of the Ally, is going to be much better than this. And also some other competitors also have bigger batteries that can just support the games for longer. I feel like the Ally X, just having a twice as big battery, just makes everything just better. I felt like with this, I did feel that when I played the games, in the back of my mind, I was constantly thinking how much battery I have if I played something more intensive, and the LAX kind of fixes that issue. And coming to the reason why I personally didn't play that much on this device recently, has been more of the user experience. This is a PC after all, so it comes with all its benefits and its disadvantages. And the disadvantage here is that for many games, you're gonna have to be connected online. And I wanted to use it a lot of times on the airplane like I used to use the Nintendo Switch OLED. Not much bigger, so it's not hard to take with you on the flights, but on the Nintendo Switch, you can play pretty much most of the games with just the cartridge and just play physically. And even if you have some games downloaded, they still can be played offline. So there's no problem using it on the plane, and the battery just lasts much longer. In this case, the battery is not as long, but that wasn't the worst part because I can use a power bank, I can play less demanding games, but the problem is different. Because many of the games are working through Game Pass, Ubisoft Store, or the Steam library, a lot of times you have to be connected to the internet to start the game. So sometimes I would have to be last minute before takeoff trying to turn on Valhalla so that when I don't have the connection, it's still gonna be working. And even then, if I turn it into sleep mode and for some reason Valhalla is turned off, then I cannot access it again because the connection to the internet is no longer there. So because of that, I did feel like I missed out on some games when I was flying. I would have to resort to games that I didn't want to play, but were able to be played offline. So it wasn't as convenient. And also that meant that before the flight, I would feel that pressure to really, set up everything that I wanted to do, that I wanted to have to organize what I'm gonna play in that flight because that is the game I'm gonna load up. Just makes everything just not as convenient. And this is the reason I have not been playing this as much as I would like to. But it's also something that is not only for this device. This is going to be something for pretty much all the handheld PCs that are based on the Windows system. And yes, many games from the Steam library and Xbox Game Pass can be played offline. But it becomes even more evident when you have two people that want to share the device and you would like to switch between the different accounts. So it's even more trying to plan out who is going to play what, how it's going to be playing out, what to turn off, what to turn on, just makes everything just hectic. So in my opinion, that is the reason I have not been playing this as much. So in the combination, it's the combination of it being a Windows-based PC pretty much, and not having internet connection in some places, but also because I have different consoles and the games that I play just run better and are more convenient on those different consoles, meaning that this kind of has been collecting dust. but I still love the way it works, the way it is, and just the potential that it has. So I still see use for it. Especially for those that are looking for something that is great for indie games, this is a great device. And even in 2025, if you can get this for a nice price, I would still say it's really worth it. And the competition that we have for this, or the upgraded Ally X, they're great, and I would say they're amazing if you can get them for a good price. But if those benefits, like the extended battery, isn't something that you're looking for, then this can be an incredible deal. I'd say at the end of the day, it's going to depend what you're looking for. Is the screen big enough? Is the device good enough for you? The games that you play, the way you want to play, where you want to play, how you want to play, the connection that you have. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to make this device either amazing for you or not as good. So really take that in consideration. And after that, look at the competition. If maybe, for example, you need a bigger screen, or you need that smaller screen but having that form factor, which I love, that it's a one single unit without detachable controllers. So it's really dependent on what you're going to look for. But just straight up to the competition, this is still holding up so great. Even though we have new models, and we also are probably gonna get the Z2 Extreme in 2025. So even more performance benefits. But the way I have seen the price drop on this and other competition in the PC handhelds, it's still so worth it. And from the spec sheet alone, it's still up there in the top in terms of handheld PCs. So it's still definitely an amazing beast in 2025. If you already have one, let me know in the comment section down below how your experience with it has been so far. And if you're looking for one, let me know in the comment section down below which is the reason you're looking for this specific device. With that being said, that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.